You guys have some sit down for media, and imagine he just comes out like talking shit, like screw Damon Jackson, I'm taking his head off. Can you imagine that? How would you
Nah,
react if he just starts talking crazy shit again out of nowhere?
I would probably laugh with him, like whatever he's saying. I don't know.
What do you think of the fight? And do you think Volkanovski comes back too quick? Is he, is the return a little soon?
I don't know, man. Everybody heals up differently, and I
He
think
fought in
Volk is.
October, just for reference. When you look at the body of work for Max in your weight class, like I don't think anyone's matched it. Like, who do you think is the featherweight GOAT? Do you think it's Max, Volk, Aldo, maybe Connor? But I don't see that. But who do you think's the featherweight GOAT?
Um, I would say Aldo
Okay.
for now. Aldo and then Volk, and then Holloway's there. He's right there with him. So how you guys doing?
What's up, man? What's going on?
I just left the gym actually. Just did some grappling. Headed up to. I left the Dallas location. Now I'm headed to Lakeside location. So going to
You've
my
been,
gym.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see you've been grinding, man. You've also been doing a lot of the coaching, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot of coaching. I got some. My oldest daughter's got dual state this weekend, so it's a pretty big one for the team. So hopefully
Yeah.
they come. Yeah,
I see you working hard at Fortis MMA, man. And I love how you got the kids classes and then like right afterwards you got like the adult class. Like what a difference that must be, right? Literally within like an hour of each other.
yeah. It's good. It gets the family involved. Family aspect of the kids are in there working out, and the parents come in right
Sure.
after. So uh, it's definitely it's good little mix for sure.
Oh, of course, man. Anything involved with family, it's got to be awesome, right? When you're teaching two classes like that, how different are they, right? You're teaching the adults, then you transition over to the kids. Like it's got to be like a whole world of difference.
Yeah, honestly, man, I like working with kids better. It
Really?
seems like, yeah, the energy is always good, and then it's like you're one of the first people that are showing them this move, so they get real excited and stuff. Some of the adults they kind of feel like they act like they already know what they're doing and stuff, and they don't listen as well. So definitely like listen to work with kids.
Well, I'll tell you what, I thought you would have said the other answer because, maybe adults are easier to understand stuff and all that. But hey, touche to that. It's funny too because my brother's a cop and I always ask him, I'm like, who's easier to pull over? Is it the older people? Is it the younger people? And I would have expected the older people. I mean, yeah, the older people, because I would think a lot of young people, like they're hot tempered, they drive like assholes nowadays. But he was like, no, it's actually the older people. They always give me a hard time because they're stubborn, right? They're like, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So I'm sure you get a lot of that. It's quite similar to that in a sense, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So as far as coaching, is that like your favorite thing to do outside of fighting?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely love it. I selfishly like I love competing myself though. So I really love competing at any level, and that's something that is always kind of like I'm either all in when I'm coaching or I'm all in when I'm fighting. So
Yeah.
my wrestling season will be it'll be coming to an end like at the end of February, and like the first week of March it's done. So that gives me a little bit of time to really just set some focus on the fight as soon as season's over. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. When you are done fighting, are you just gonna like transfer to coach full time? You're gonna become like the next Javier Mendez for us a hobby, chase greatness and coaching.
Yeah, no, I definitely love coaching. It's something I can definitely look forward to. And it's something that the energy is just different. I like coaching my kids is like one of the coolest things in the world. And then getting to be a part of all they all wrestle, which is kind of crazy because I have four girls, and so I never
I
really
saw
thought that
that
I was
one of
gonna
them just
have.
had their first weigh-in, right? That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I would have never thought that I had, four girl wrestlers. It's kind of weird. So it's just so different. And now it's like they get to experience all the things. It's cool being a part of like them getting to experience all of my experiences that I had with wrestling and with, the grind and stuff. It's just, it's cool to be a part of it for sure.
I bet you never thought you'd have four girls, period, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't really think when I had my oldest, I was 19, so I wasn't really thinking about kids. It was just, it's funny to see how it plays out like that. So.
Yeah, now that we're on the subject of it, and we are going to get into the fight stuff, but just about that, right? As a father, seeing your kids take a liking to your world, I mean, that's got to be special to you, right? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like all the hard work I put in, them getting to be a part of that, it's been really cool. But then now that they have the option, they have options to, they could play basketball, they could wrestle, they could do anything, and it's like
Yeah,
they've all chosen what I am most passionate about. So, it makes me not feel as bad for missing, time with them and stuff because it's like they understand, like they see the work that I put in, and it's cool for them to be a part of that. And now with me opening a gym and stuff, they've been there since day one. Obviously, they've got to see me go through that process of opening the gym and running the gym, and they're a big part of that.
absolutely. And the good thing too is if your daughter ever runs into or any of them run into some obnoxious boys someday, then they could just beat them up themselves, right? It'll spare you the trouble.
Yeah, they can handle themselves for sure.
There you go, man. Well, that is important for them to be able to handle themselves, all jokes aside. So I think that's cool. When you're going through a couple losses, man, right? Both inside the octagon and obviously outside, we saw what happened in the recent years. How much do you lean on your family in those moments? Like, is that your main support system?
Yeah, it's always been
Because it seems
it's
like you
always
got
been
a
somebody.
great family. That's why I asked. You seems like you got a nice big family, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like definitely they're having them there it's been awesome. But
Yeah.
it's like it comes with pros and cons too. It's like, they don't want to be down with me, when I'm down. So it's like whenever I'm really, really down, I just like, they're always there, but I try not to lean on them too much just because I don't want to bring them down or anything like that. So
Mm.
just kind of had to, cheer up, get on past it, and move on. So
Yeah, absolutely, right. That also makes sense too. So let's get into the fight stuff, right? Speaking of, the bad times and whatnot, this is the first time in your career you've had these back-to-back losses. But I mean, you're definitely a resilient guy. I think this is the first time in your career that you have lost fights back to back, right? Like usually if you lose, you sort of bounce back in the best way, right? As someone who has been able to bounce back so much, like again, back-to-back losses is a very new thing for you. Is that something that's helped you throughout your career, loss? Like, have you been very good at bouncing back from them? Because someone, when you look at your record, it's indicative that you do bounce back good from a loss.
yeah, I mean, definitely, I've never had back to back losses, and like you could argue that my last fight, you could say that I won and he won. Like
Very
you can,
close fight,
it
man. Yeah.
was such a close fight,
Yep.
and so there's a lot of pros to that, and just kind of like looking back at it, I was definitely not as focused as I could have been and what I should have been, and like I just have I've grown a lot from opening this business, and this last few months has just been crazy, like, nuts. And so now things are calming down, and I've got my focus back on, what I want it to be on. And, things are going a lot better. But yeah, it's been that right before that fight was just a crazy, crazy time, getting everything rolling, and lot of stuff going on. So it's been nice to just kind of get back to my normal focus of training. And I feel like right now I'm feeling really, really healthy and really good with my wrestling again. My pec is completely healed up,
Good.
and I'm feeling really good.
Well, I think that's could be better in a sense, right? When you are able to pinpoint what went wrong, right? Because a lot of times if things are rolling, everything's going well, but you're taking L's, like, and you don't know where it's coming from, that could be a real problem, right? Are you at least happy to know that, maybe it was something you could have done more, or things that could have gone differently? Are you at least able to, is there some peace of mind knowing that you're able to pinpoint what the issues were and now you're able to perhaps correct them?
For sure, it's definitely something that it's like you have to be ready, and you have to go through whatever in life. But some things you don't have control over. So it's like with just shifting my focus from the business side of things to to fighting and the
Yeah.
finances and everything else. It's like it's just a lot to catch up on, and I feel like I'm finally starting to get the hang of things. And I think that this next few weeks is going to be really important for my training. But just finishing out the wrestling season and getting to have 100% focus on myself for a few weeks before the fight will be nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, that Quarantillo fight again, that was so close. I mean, when I was looking into it, I was like, maybe a split decision for somebody. But what did you think at the end of it? Did you think you did enough to win it?
Yeah, I really did think I won. And, even like going back and watching it, I definitely felt like I won. But I would never sit there and, bitch and complain about that. Like I didn't finish him, so I didn't really win. So it's kind
Right.
of one of those things you got to go out there, get finishes, and then you can take that out of the equation. But I
Yeah.
didn't do that. So, and I don't know what my finishes are pretty damn high, but I think it's like 19 of 22 I finished.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
I just didn't get it, man. Sucks, but I'll be ready for the next one. It's a great matchup, tough matchup, but it's a great matchup for sure.
I think the fact that you guys didn't get a bonus pissed me off more, to be honest.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that night. It was like they instead of giving out three bonuses like they normally do, they gave
Yeah.
out five, and it was because they gave it out to everyone that finished the fight. But if they were to do the old school like fight of the night, sub of the night, knockout of the night, whatever, then we would have definitely got fight of the night because that was we were the definitely the most exciting fight on the card. But just you never know, you never know what they're doing. So.
Yeah, that was definitely weird, man. But look, I mean, look, you started off 5-1 in the promotion, right? Best promotion in the world, mind you. Like, I think you're gonna be all right, dude. I mean, you're still a couple fights over 500, even, right? When you have a fight like that, do you lose a little bit of confidence maybe immediately afterwards, or do you still recognize like I'm still a very good fighter? Where are you at after a loss immediately?
It just depends on the loss and how it happens
It's
and
true. Yeah.
everything. So, like if I was in there and I didn't have answers for what was going on, then that would be a problem. But I don't know what happened in my body. It just like it was kind of weird. I had a pretty good weight cut, and so like going into that second round, like my body just like froze up and I could not keep my freaking hands up. I couldn't like function for a little while. And I think that's the biggest reason I lost is because of how bad my posture was and stuff. So,
Mm,
just kind of like, when you don't have answers and you're losing and you can't listen to an instruction from your coach and things like that, then I
yeah.
think that it's kind of maybe you're losing some slack and maybe it's time to call it quits. But for me, I don't know what happened that fight. I just got in a weird spot. I came out so good in the first. I was doing everything that I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and then starting the second, I was doing pretty good, and then guys, I don't know what happened. It's so weird. And then coming out in the third, it was just, it was a lot to catch up on. But I feel like I won the first and third, but that second round was just so bad that I think that's why I lost. But I definitely, it was frustrating, but I know where I'm at. I fight with some of the best guys in the world in the training room, and the day that I'm, not able to win in practice is the day that I know that I'll be done. So as long as that's going good my way, then I'll have that confidence going into my next fight too. So
Let's talk about this upcoming fight in April. There's still a ways out. Again, April's like a few months, right? At least 2, 3 months. Just looking at it, right? Do you think you're going to be able to like stay active after as far because I know when I see you fighting, what I mean to say is when I look at your record, you seem like a guy that when everything's going good, when the ball's rolling, you like to fight every 3 months. Is that accurate?
man,
Or maybe not
I
every 3 months specifically, but you like to be active,
uh,
right? Because when the
I
ball's
was
rolling, you're
yeah,
active.
I was trying to fight in November and December and it just didn't happen. And then I was so focused on November, December that January kind of snuck up on me, and then I
Yeah.
was like begging to get on in February, and then that didn't happen. And I was like, man, I don't get it. So, I just like I don't know, man. I would like to fight every month. I'm training every day. My weight's always good. I always feel pretty healthy. And I hate doing full training camps. It just annoys me. Like it's like I'm literally ready right now. I could fight this weekend like 100%. I was trying to get on if Charles Jourdain or whatever the Weston Wilson and all those fights that
Yeah.
I kind of felt like someone might pull out. I was like ready to go just in case. So I'm still waiting. If they give me a short notice fight and they need someone, I'll step in and I'll take this fight in April. So I want to be active this year for sure.
It's crazy what a weird sports, what a weird sport fighting is in the sense of like you really need to have just it all matters about having just that one peak night, right? Like it's crazy how you could have the best training camp, everything can go beautifully, but if on the night, like you said in the second round, you weren't feeling well, it could even be as far as how you feeling around, right? I mean, it's crazy how you just it's all relying upon just having one peak performance, right? Isn't that crazy? Like you have an NFL season, you got 17, 18 games, you lose this one, you can come back and win the next one next week. Like you're preparing for so long for one night. And if you're just, because how many days do you wake up and you're like, I'm not feeling this, right? But like you don't have a choice on fight day. Crazy sport.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely you know, you like it's you go all in and you're either on top of the world or you're just at the lowest of low. And it's like
Right.
it's it's you gotta really you gotta make sure you have some good people around you, but you gotta like really have a grasp like mentally to know that like, if things go this way, you gotta do like XYZ, and like if you go this way, it's different. It's just like, you know, it's just crazy that you put it all in for one night, but it's just that's why like, you have all these fighters that are just so hungry to fight because you don't get to go out there and do it very often. And then when you do get to go, it's like if you don't have that great performance, all you can do is wait for the next one. That's all you can think about is the next fight, the next fight. So, um, you know, I definitely want to go all in this next year and just really push it hard and just try to get like 4 or 5 fights in. But right now it's looking like it's going to be a slow year again. So I got to go out there and get some momentum built up with this fight and get that big win and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And touche all that. But again, and it's like you could want to fight tomorrow, right? Like it's crazy how it's like you could be in a camp and it's like, oh, I'm ready to fight today. Like today would be the perfect day, but no, you got to wait for that specific day. But albeit, I'm sure you'll be ready for that day, right? April 6th. And let's talk about that fight. Obviously, Alexander Hernandez, you get the matchup, you look at it on paper. I mean, does it excite you or is it just like another one in the books? How are you looking at the matchup?
No, I mean he's tough as hell. He's fought some really tough guys,
He
and
definitely
he's
has.
he's stuck around, through some tough fights, and he's, got beat by some questionable fights. So it's like you can't really get a good read on a guy like that because when he lands good, and then if he's off, he's off, and it's like you never know which one you're gonna get. So you got to be prepared for that 3 round banger fight, and you also got to be prepared for him to come out super strong. And then I'm it's crazy because like I've had this long gap, but I've since I've opened my gym, I've been getting to train so much more than normal, and that's why I've been wanting to get back in there because right when I had my fight, I had only had my gym open for a month, and so
Okay.
which was crazy time just trying to get things going, and then having to find people to rely on for my scheduling, and just there was a lot going
Yeah.
on. So this last few months, I've just been training nonstop. And, I was at Dallas early this morning. I was in Rockwall, and then I went to Dallas and trained, came back to Rockwall now. And
Wow.
then I have, 4 classes tonight. And I'm training almost every time I come to my gym, I train. And every time I go to Dallas, I train. So it's just nonstop. And I'm just ready to go.
Yeah, I could see it, man. You look like it seems like for this fight specifically, there seems to be like a certain another like switch that's been turned on with you. I don't know what it is, can't put my finger on it, but it's interesting to see. You know what else is interesting, right? When you look at Hernandez, I see a young up and coming fighter, starting years ago, right? Starts off 2-0 in the UFC, beats quality guys in those two wins. Then I see this guy at the press conference, right, for his what is it, the 2019 fight with Cowboy Cerrone, and he is talking like
Uh,
crazy shit. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like this dude's talking all this shit. It came out of nowhere. I mean, some of the stuff was a little disrespectful. He was talking about like he was going to be the king, this, that, and the other. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him. I'm just speaking what actually happened. But whatever.
yeah.
We get to the fight, and I mean, the dude got pretty freaking humbled. Like Cerrone finished him pretty badly. And ever since then, it just
Yeah.
feels like the kid's never recovered from that, right? Like, I don't want to sound negative, but it's just what happened. But I mean, what a story, right? Like, he just comes in and then he's on fire and then it kind of just falls apart.
Yeah, man, we almost fought right before he went to the UFC. Me and him almost fought in Legacy, and
Really?
it was just something. I think it was like he couldn't make the weight cut to 45 at the time, and that was the reason why we didn't fight. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, we almost fought in Legacy right before he went into the UFC, and
Yeah.
then he made it in and he beat at the time it was he beat
Benil.
Benil, and it was like no one really knew Benil that good, and then now Benil went on that long streak and stuff, and
Yeah.
he fought Jim Miller and he beat Jim Miller, and
He
it's
beat
like,
Mercier too, which is the PFL
yeah,
champion.
I
And
mean,
those are his two
yeah,
first wins in the UFC.
yeah. Yeah, no, he's a tough dude, man, for sure. He's game for sure. But I think that that Cerrone fight, man, that was nuts when he was like talking so much and he was like, "You
Out of nowhere.
geriatric something." I remember, and then I remember him, Cowboy landed that like it was like the kind of combo you hit on pads. He like landed it perfectly on that dude and bounced the kick off his head, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy, man, the way that whole thing played out. And since that Cowboy fight, he's been 4-6. I'll be honest, I didn't know he would still be in the UFC at this point. But when you look at him, I mean, the potential really is there. Like, I still see a dangerous guy. It sounds like you still see that, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, he's definitely dangerous. He's definitely that guy that, he could land that one punch and take anyone out. So
Very
he's
athletic,
definitely
explosive guy, right?
very, very athletic dude.
Yeah.
I think he carries a lot of muscle coming in. So I think
Hmm.
he's gonna be a strong dude in the wrestling game. He'll be, hard to take down, but he commits for sure.
You guys have some sit down for media, and imagine he just comes out like talking shit, like screw Damon Jackson, I'm taking his head off. Can you imagine that? How would you
No,
react if he just starts talking crazy shit again out of nowhere?
I would probably laugh with him, like whatever he's saying. I don't know. I'm not like if someone starts talking smack, like I'm
Yeah.
just gonna laugh about it. I know eventually we're gonna get in the ring, so it's it is what it is. So, I just like I don't even know. I'd probably laugh for sure with something he said, but I'm a pretty good smart ass. So if it comes down to it and he starts running his mouth, like I can hold my own in that game. But yeah, I would definitely laugh. I'm sure.
That's not your thing, right? The trash talking. You like to just, show what you got in the octagon, right? Or what? Have you ever
Yeah,
been in a
man.
fight where it got heated like that?
Not really, honestly, man. Like I feel like that takes two people to do that. If you got one guy that's like kind of sitting back and like, the guy maybe says something questionable and like you don't get a reaction out of the person, then they're not gonna keep feeding that. They're gonna kind of back off. So you gotta have two guys that are willing to like, sit there and trade words back and forth.
True.
Um, you
There's got to
know,
be like
if
legit
I
heat.
was
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that it's a lot of times people do that for play and they do it to like get some views and whatever. And I'm like, my contract says this. It doesn't say that I've got to talk any more shit to get paid more. So I'm just
Right.
gonna stick with what's paying me, and that's winning fights and staying focused. So I just try not to get sidetracked with all that nonsense. But
Is there anything about Hernandez's style that you're like, okay, maybe be careful with that? Maybe let's not feed into that too much, right? Because you did mention he's a very athletic guy, right? Again, he's explosive as well. There's certainly some things you got to be careful
yeah,
with. He's dangerous. He's a stud. I mean, it is what it is.
yeah, I mean he's a tough dude, man. He's very well rounded as far as like his striking game and stuff. And I think that you got to watch out for his power and his athleticism.
Do you bring specific guys in? Like, are you one of those fighters like I need to bring in some training partners to mimic what he does, or do you just always prepare the same way? Because again, for a guy like him with a very particular maybe style, you want to bring somebody in and prepare for him.
Shit, I got some guys in there, some tanks in there that'll come at me, all in. And the young dudes, Abdul, he's coming up. I don't know when his fight is. I know I think it's in March. And then I get
Yeah,
EJ Elijah Johns. He's very similar to Alex as far as like his frame and his athleticism and stuff. Both those guys are just tanks. And I've got plenty of guys to be coming at me like hard like that. So
true. Yeah.
um I got plenty of guys, but yeah, I don't bring in anyone outside of camp, like normal camp. I just make it work, whoever's around.
There you go. All right. So that answers that, I guess. Since you are a featherweight, man, I want to ask you a couple questions here to close out the show about this. Obviously, you got about the biggest fight possible coming up in your weight class, right? Volkanovski, Topuria for the UFC Featherweight Championship, UFC 298. You know, I've spoken to a few UFC featherweights, spoken to fans, pundits, whatever you name it. A lot of people, the common thing here is that Volkanovski's coming back too quick. What do you think of the fight? And do you think Volkanovski comes back too quick? Is he, is the return a little soon?
I don't know, man. Everybody heals up differently, and I
He
think
fought in
Volk is
October, just for reference.
yeah, I think Volk is he's a smart dude, and I think that October to February, I don't know, man. That's kind of close, but
Mhm.
he knows his body than better than a lot of people, and I think that once you're the champ, you have that pressure to like perform every time and everything, but you also have a good group of guys that they want to see you stay in that championship status. So his coaches, I'm sure, are around him and telling him, you're not ready until this date or you're not ready till this date. And if you take 6 to 8 weeks and just kind of relax and really rest your body, you can get past that. And so as long as he's mentally past everything, then I think he'll be physically, I think he'll be good. Ilya's a tough ass dude, so it's a tough matchup. And um, I'm really not sure. Honestly, I could see that fight playing out to where it would be a tough fight for him. But um,
Yep.
you know, he's been in there with some of the best guys and he's done some crazy things. So I feel like he wins that fight, but I think that you could question and say that it was too soon for sure. But you're only gonna say that if he loses. If he wins, then you
Very
won't say
true.
a word
Yeah.
about it too soon. That's how it is. People will find, even if it's not the person that's looking for an excuse, like people will find excuses for that loss or whatever, and they'll say that it was too soon and whatever. But if he wins, no one's gonna say another word about it. So who knows?
Yeah, absolutely right. If he wins, everyone's going to forget all about it. That's true. But I am curious as a fighter, right? As a UFC fighter yourself, when you're in a position like that, like who gets I mean, I guess it depends on the team and the camp, right? But who tends to get the final say? Like, would you think Volkanovski got the last say on whether he's going to be able to fight, or does he have to run it by his coaches and his coaches have to give the okay? Do you think? And of course, everything's
I think
different, right? But what do you think?
I think when you put as much trust in working with a coach or whatever, if they tell you something, like what's true and what's not. Like even if you want something really bad and it's not the best move for you, and you have someone telling you that, you're gonna know in the back of your head that you're not ready for it. And I think that's what will slow someone down from taking a fight when they shouldn't be. So I think they probably saw that he was good. He probably felt like he was good, so they made the call to go in. So I think if they were in the middle of camp in January or in December and he was getting like hurt in practice or he was like not looking good in practice, they would have figured out a way to pull out of that fight and to do it in a way where it wouldn't look bad. And no one would have second guessed him. So he would have had nothing to lose if he would have just said, "Hey, I need more time," or "I'm injured," or whatever. Then no one would have questioned that. So if he really needed an excuse to get out of a fight, he could have used it. And so I think if he was not looking good and if he wasn't ready, then I think that he would be pulled out by now.
There's like a month left until the fight. Someone who's very familiar with how camps are structured. Is there still time left in his camp to where a situation like that could pop up and his coaches say, "All right, you're not ready," or do you think it's been so long now and his camp has been going on for so long that they would have already, monitored and detected something like that?
They would have already detected it for sure. And I
Is
think
he even
that would,
sparring still? Like, is it Volkanovski's? Are those guys still sparring like a month out still? Or yeah, right?
oh yeah, yeah, like
Like a
2 weeks
couple more
out.
weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks out, you're doing your hardest rounds, 2 weeks out. So,
Yeah.
um, it's just you got to be around smart training partners, and you got to be around a coach that actually, gives a shit about you. So, not just the paydays.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure as a fellow coach, you could speak to that. You also faced Ilya back in 2020. When you stepped away from that fight, did you think like, man, this dude could be a world champ? Like, is his rise surprising to you?
Um, no, it's not surprising me at all. I when I fought him, I was surprised of the style he fought me because I when I looked him up, he was before he had nothing online, and like it was literally like he had nothing. I had nothing to watch except for like one fight from
That could
like
be tough.
2 years before that, and so I had no way to really game plan for what he was, and everything that I had saw and like looked up, he was just a grappler. So I
Mhm.
was expecting that whole camp I was wrestling so heavy, grappling, doing everything, ready to go for that. And then he had a hard level change, and I dropped my hands for the defense, for takedown defense, and he caught me, man. And then he caught me in the body shot, and then went back up top. And I was super confused on his style. I did not think he was going to be that guy. So, but no, I'm not surprised. After the next fight, he had another good performance, and then I was like, oh, this kid's good, and then he just kept winning. So when he beat Bryce Mitchell, that was kind of like, yeah, this dude's he's good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of like, good fighters in the weight class, I still, well, and that's crazy. Topuria is only 26. That's insane. But I still think Max Holloway is the greatest featherweight of all time. Like, I know Volkanovski beat him 3 times. I mean, the second one was a clear robbery. Like, I'll debate anyone on that. But when you look at the body of work for Max in your weight class, like, I don't think anyone's matched it. Like, who do you think is the featherweight GOAT? Do you think it's Max, Volk, Aldo, maybe Connor? But I don't see that. But who do you think's the featherweight GOAT?
Um, I would say Aldo,
Okay.
for now. Aldo, and then Volk, and then Holloway's there. He's right there with him. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like it's hard to like give that kind of title to someone that's like didn't hang on to it. So it's like
Mhm.
you win the championship and you hold on to it, you hold on to it, you hold on to it, and then 3 or 4 title defenses, and not like you're looking pretty damn good. So
Yeah, absolutely. So again, as a fellow featherweight, when you're coming up in the ranks, right, and Aldo's dominating, since you did say Aldo, he's a number one pound for pound fighter. He's undefeated for like so many years. Like at least I would look at it this way. Like, did you look at him almost as like an idol in a way? Like, did you look up to a guy like that coming up?
for sure, definitely. I mean, it's hard not to. Like, you got to have somebody to look
Yeah.
at, and so for me to like look at Brock Lesnar, or, something like that, it's just not the same
Okay.
style. Like heavyweight fighters compared to like featherweights, it's just different styles. So
Sure.
all my idols have been like close to my weight class. Like GSP was probably the biggest idol that I had, and the like highest weight class. Yeah, I kind of liked Anderson Silva, but I never had his speed and his style. I wasn't good. But with GSP and Frankie Edgar, I just loved how tough Frankie Edgar was. I loved that GSP had wrestling,
Yeah.
that was just awesome. He had a really like he was very conscious and aware of his, defense and offense. Like he had
Right.
really good technical stuff. And Frankie Edgar was just so he had so much heart. He was a wrestler. And Matt Hughes, like those are my guys that I would say my idols.
Prime Frankie Edgar was amazing. And I'm from New Jersey, so I love Frankie Edgar, for sure. So I got one more
Yeah.
question for you, right? You've been in the UFC now since 2020. If you had, a few words, just a couple things to say about summarizing your time there, what would you say? Like, how has your experience been in the UFC since 2020 now? Overall, just in an overall sense.
Shit, man, it's the greatest promotion, period. Like everybody talks smack and says whatever about
There's no
paydays
damn
and
co-promotion,
like,
right? There's no
you know,
co-lead promotion here with
you
Bellator.
go,
UFC's number one.
yeah, 100%. And they give you the most fights for any like promotion. Like you might go to Bellator, but you only fight like you might get paid more per fight, but you're only gonna fight once, maybe twice a year. And the UFC is like, if you got the momentum going, you're fighting as much as much as you possibly can. And
Yeah,
um, the paydays are there, the views are there. So as long as you're doing things right, outside of the cage, like you're gonna be good to go, man. It's like UFC's where it's at, and I couldn't be more happy to work with them and to be with them, at this part of my career.
100% spot on. I should probably be careful because I do interview a lot of fighters outside of the UFC, but it's okay. You guys get what I'm trying to say. Don't take offense to it. Damon, nonetheless, thanks for taking some time to come on the show, man. He's taking on Alexander Hernandez April 6th. Definitely a fun matchup, an intriguing matchup. You're definitely not going to want to miss that one. But Damon, thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you.